One of the reasons Barack Obama was made president is so he could normalize the LGBTQ agenda in the black community. Think about it. If George Bush tried to push homosexuality in the black community, we would have rejected him.
Of course.
If Donald Trump tried to push homosexuality in the black community, we would have rejected him.
Of course.
You could only normalize that through a blackface.
Through a black man.
Obama was made president to make it normal. When Barack Obama became president, homosexuality was not a mainstream issue, nor was it accepted as a mainstream alternative to the traditional family.
I gotta look at
By the time he left office in 08, they were completely running everything.
Was
and
that
if
the
you
year?
even disagreed with, I'm gonna give you an example.
It is.
I do
You
a
might
lot
be
of
right.
graduation speeches, right? At the June.
Okay.
Elementary school, middle school, high school. I normally do about 20 graduation speeches a season.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
When Barack Obama was president, I might have did 5. It dropped significantly. Schools who I normally did their commencement, they was calling me up, Dr. Umar, we can't have you speak this year. Why? The LGBTQ say you don't agree with them, you can't speak. I said, but this is a graduation speech. This ain't politics. This is motivation. Get ready for the rest of your life.
Right.
What does LGBT got to do with my 10-minute speech motivating these 12th graders to make sure you do well in college?
Right.
Well, we have LGBT teachers and they're saying you're insensitive and you're homophobic. So I saw how not agreeing with the lifestyle could limit your opportunities in life. You had people getting fired from jobs, not for pushing hate, because I don't agree with hate.
Right.
I don't agree with the lifestyle.
Right.
But I don't want harm for any human, no matter what their situation is.
That's the way to do it.
But the way that they did it was the LGBTQ said, to disagree with me is to hate me. They created a narrative that if you disagree, you support violence against me.
Right.
You don't want us to work. You want us to be shot, killed, made. We never said that.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
We just said we don't agree with the lifestyle.
Right.
But they turned it into a whole campaign against anybody who disagreed with it. And that's another reason why a lot of people didn't vote for Kamala Harris, black men, because they got tired of the effeminization, and then they took it to Africa.
That's what the crazy thing about it is, that that's exactly what they doing. They literally doing that. Like, they talk about they want equal rights, and that was just to take control over the political arena by which they dominate. And that's why they hate Donald Trump so much right now, because they lost control. And what they did was actually had control, and they put up money to actually put representatives in play like Barack Obama and them to actually push their agenda and pass laws and legislations in their favor. That's why, again, they so against Donald Trump, and they have become radical and violent against the Republicans and the conservatives as a result of them losing power. And now we're getting to the point of desperation. Listening to Dr. Umar talk, man, brother, your greed put you in a position where you lost everything. You could have been one of those dudes if only you had discipline and self-control. But every time you war against the living God, and then your pride is puffed up to the point that you want people to praise you, exalt you, and draw the attention towards you at the expense of trying to tear down the living God, this actually led to your downfall. Because, you know, he would speak out against Jesus. He would speak out against the Bible. He would speak out against the church. Because, again, just like so many others who have done that failed, that's not going to help you at all when you first wage a war against the living God. Then what happens is, when you look at the things you could have been, if you actually just accepted the truth. But we see now why you was against God so much, because of the corruption that was taking place behind the scenes in your life. All the conning, game, scheming, money, women, all these things that you were doing that was against God, that made you speak out against God. And you lost everything as a result of that. like you literally did. You lost favor with the black community as a result of that, and what you got exposed on with the mishandling of money that was entrusted in you to build the school for the black youth, that you actually just took advantage of and really scandalized and shamed your name to the point that you lost your testimony and witness. And that's very important. When you lose your credibility, when you lose your witness, when you lose your testimony, you lose favor with the black community, both men, women, and children. You looked at now as being a con artist, a person that's not to be trusted when it come to money. Your kids don't respect you. They speak out against you, and you took it as a joke. And the crazy thing about it is you could have actually been one of those brothers that stood for something if you wasn't so greedy, if you wasn't so selfish. Like, you really could. Now when people hear all this knowledge that you had, and if you wasn't so, you was even deceiving in your knowledge. If only you stayed true to the knowledge that you had and let God work with you through that, you could have been one of those dudes. You would have had money. You would have had a beautiful wife. You would have been established and respected amongst the brothers and sisters you trying to reach out to. You could have made a difference. Now you just somebody that people just look at, and nobody cares of your knowledge. Nobody cares of the things that come out of your mouth, because the man who's given the message have not the credibility. And that's terrible. And that's terrible, brother. You are unapologetic. See, that could have helped you too. If you would have at least had accountability. If you had accountability and just told the truth, even in your failures, brothers and sisters can sympathize with that when it's genuine. But you won't even do that. So you allow your pride to destroy you even more. And you have digged a hole for yourself that you can't get out of. You can't. You're not going to be able to get out of it at all. Watch this, y'all. Show you something even more. Even though he's spitting some facts here.
Obama started it. He went to Africa. He went to Liberia. He went to Rwanda, a couple other places. He said, if you don't legalize gay marriage, we cutting off your aid.
That's some of the best work I've ever heard from Umar. It's why, you know, Umar will do some silly things, say some things I disagree with, and who knows what he's done with the money for his schools. And I don't say that in a disparaging fashion, but Umar says a lot of things that I disagree with, but he also says a lot of things that I have to just tip my hat and say, hey, man, I appreciate you saying that, because that breakdown of the consequences of not being on board with the LGBTQIA plus silent P alphabet mafia agenda. That's what no one ever wants to talk about it. And like me doing this show the way that I've done it, I know the consequences in terms of, I'm untouchable. I'm reviled in legacy media because the gay crowd has so much influence over human resources departments throughout corporate America.
Correct. Let's talk about that for a second, because I want to expound on that. You see it all the time. They allow people to buy into the lie rather people. They bought so much into the lie that they don't even see that they are the minority and we are the majority. It's more of us than it is of them. And it's sad because you got so many guys who know the truth but don't stand on the truth, and they don't know how to allow the truth to work for them where they remain to be successful. Let me tell you something. God gonna always bless you no matter what. The problem that's hurting them is they looking to be rewarded for Satan. They looking to be rewarded from Satan. That's their problem. They looking for gifts and rewards from Satan rather than God. And they believe that God is not a rewarder, even though God is a rewarder. So they would rather go on with the lie, even though it takes away from them. See, when you compromise morality, principle, value, when you compromise nature, when you compromise God, what happens is you allow these doors and windows to open of wickedness to come in and then change everything that you're supposed to be standing on. And it brings you into the darkness to accept the things you should hate. Now you accept murder. You accept separation from family. You accept murdering children. You accept homosexuality. You accept lies. You accept separation. You accept division. Why? Because you allowed the enemy to come in and transform you and bring you deeper into the darkness because you're looking to be rewarded by him. Like so many of these people are. God will always, always provide and take care of his. And it comes without consequences. Rewards and gifts from Satan always have consequences. You can so-called enjoy it temporarily, but you have to give it back at the expense and cost of your life, liberty, family, health, eternal soul. And really, is anything worth that? What do the word of God say? What does it profit a man to gain the world, favor the world, the monies and all the things of people looking unto you? What does it profit for a man to gain the world, but then lose his soul? And what would a man give in exchange for his soul? See, I like that part. They never say the other part that goes with it. If you actually knew the priceless value of your soul and spirit, you wouldn't exchange that for nothing. It shouldn't be bought. It can't be bought. When you really understand that's your eternal being within yourself. And you gave it up for what? To feed your belly? And you gave it up for what? To be accepted by people who gonna turn against you anyway? You gave it up for what? To be accepted? To belong? You gave it up for what? A temporary position? You gave up something that's eternal for that which is only temporarily. What sense is in that? You brought nothing into the world, and neither should you take nothing out of it. For naked I came in, and naked I shall leave. Facts. Let's listen to some more of this. Because, again, you see this all the time. These so-called gangsters and stand-up, straight-up men afraid of the LGBTQ. Rappers scared to speak out against the truth. People compromise. They shoving it all down your throats. Your kids can't even watch cartoons no more. It's all in the cartoons. Can't even watch a decent TV series because there's always a write-in of a black homosexual or a black transgender. And that's exactly why Obama was actually selected, because you need black to actually push the product, because we the ones that the world look to for acceptance as a result of what we're doing. We put the emphasis and stamps on all the products, whether it's jewelry, whether it's fashion, whether it's cars, whether it's music, whether it's entertainments and sports. So they need us to be the poster for the agenda. That's what they do. You select Obama, who's looked at as being a handsome, intellectual, charismatic black man, put him in position, then push the agenda of homosexuality for acceptance. And that's what they doing. And it's also a weakness against blackness. That's what it is. It's also a weakness against blackness. Because what happens is we're looked at as being the badness to anything good. That's what we looked at. We the face for homosexuality. We the face of illiteracy. We the face of violence. We the face of disease. We the face of everything bad to something good. That's what we are. We the face of all that. That's what they use us for. And you always got a nigga that's willing to step up to the plate and do their bidding for them. That's what it is. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't have true black leaders because they could easily be bought off. They controlled all of them. All of them. And that's why it's important to start raising a different generation of young men and young women who have morals, standards, principles. And the homosexuals know this. That's why they want to get them while they're young. That's why they want to push their ideology in children while they're young. They want to strip you of your rights as parents and power so that they can have control over your children, to plant seeds of doubt and rebellion. And in planting these seeds of doubt and rebellion, you separate the home because the father is gone. And you leave the woman emotionally unbalanced, by which she now rules under emotions and not logic to recognize what just happened, by which she now need to be strong and wise. Because she's still chasing after the heartbreak and disappointment of what was just done to her that now affects the child. That's the problem. And we don't have these representatives. Let me give you another example. Watch what this lady say.
That, you know, I'm as toxic and as nuclear as you could possibly be. And it does cost you opportunities. And you sit around and you wonder why Stephen A. Smith or some of these other people, it's like they always tip their hat and bow to the transgenders and the gay deal and all this other stuff, because they know that's the only way to keep the money flowing. And Umar just pointed it out in a hats off to Umar. Anyway, your thoughts, Shamika.
I completely agree with him in this take also, Jason. I can remember it was like 2015, 2016. I did a video and it was titled, "Get This Gay SHIT Off TV," because I remember watching Empire during this time and they had so many gay scenes. Like there was one scene where a spouse or a partner, whatever, walked in on his other partner who was on his knees and the guy's pants were open. For me, I was like, this is regular TV. Why is this coming on at 8 o'clock on a Thursday? Kids are still awake. This is not cable TV or what was known as cable TV back in the day. This is so wrong. And I can remember people coming after me, being so upset that trans Madison something, she came after me. Video just went viral. But my problem was during this time, during Obama's second term, is when I began to see it was rampant and it was all over the place. And they were asking kids in school, what do you want to be called? A she or a he? And they were saying, are you a prince or are you a princess? And you don't give young children that choice. And it was like out of nowhere. And as he said, George Bush wasn't pushing that. It was pushed under Obama. The whole legalization of gay marriage, this was all Obama. And that's what kind of began to open my eyes, because of course I was one of the ones in 2008 that voted for Obama simply because he was Black.
And that's what's going on right now. You have so many blacks just controlled, okay? Just controlled, demonized, false indoctrinated as a result of what they were told and not what they know. There's a difference between going by what you're told and going by what you know. Because what you know should be the direction you make when making choices rather than what you're being told. Knowledge is always the key. But knowledge without God is barbaric. Because what happens is you now put yourself in the place of God by which you have no self-control, and you abuse the knowledge. You abuse the knowledge. Because when you actually being true to the knowledge, what knowledge will do, if you actually operate under it in truth, it's going to always direct you to God. To know that you live on his planet, you have an appointment with him, you will be held accountable for your actions. That allows you to now make better choices and have love and respect for others. That's the difference. And what's happening is you're being indoctrinated with these false agendas that's being pushed to actually have control over y'all. In so much that you just heard what this lady said. She voted for Obama just because he was black, not understanding the agenda by which he would be pushing and the laws he would pass and put in play that now have you subject to it, by which if you violate them, you could be prosecuted. See what I mean? But you voted because of the skin of somebody rather than what they stood for represented. That would have went against your morality. What makes me side with the Republican conservative is this. When I look at the word of God and what it says in it, when I see how the thing that the Democrat leftist is pushing, that's literally destroying the nation, and I look at my Christian values based upon what God say about life, recognizing who he is, exposing the enemy, I lean more to the Republican conservative side because I'm not a supporter of abortion by which children are being murdered and slain and killed without given a chance, of people who selfishly have been born by which they so-called are enjoying the goodness of life but depriving somebody else of what you have. That's terrible. It's hypocritical. It is actually retarded. It's selfish. How you going to deprive somebody else's life when you got it? I'm not a supporter of abortion. I'm not a supporter of homosexual marriages, rearranging the holy sacredity by which God designed and ordered marriage, by which if you did it according to him, we wouldn't have so much violence and disease and children murdering and killing each other. If you raised up under the umbrella of holiness by which God designed it when he had the plan for the man and wife. And you got these homosexuals sitting up here molesting and raping and killing, adopting children, indoctrinating them to actually brainwashing them to believe that this is the way of life, taking minors to get sex changes, corrupting and rearranging their bodies, inflicting them with pain and suffering, taking advantage of them. They can't even make right decisions and choices for themselves to recognize that what you're doing is wrong, and now you're going to put them in the care of children? I'm against that. I'm against the removal of God out of schools and the nations. Then you allow the enemy to come in and we have nothing but chaos and anarchy. I'm against that. I'm against it. when I look at what the Bible say, and I line it up with what the Democratic Party stand for and represent, and I line it up with what the Republican conservative represent, I lean more to that. Because somebody got to be in office. We're going to have to make a choice anyway. So I choose the lesser of the two evils. Because they're going to get in office and they're going to set up law and legislation for you to be up under. And they trying to come in and corrupt and destroy the nation under a homosexual banner. And call God to judge the nation, just like he did Sodom and Gomorrah. Where you get the word sodomite from, which means homosexual, sodomy, anal, oral, sodomy, sodomites. That's what they called in the Bible. They called sodomites. And what happens is, when you allow this, when the nation allowed this, you are in agreement with the enemy and you allow God's hand to judge the nation. So we are held accountable by who we choose to be our representatives. We are held accountable before God when it comes to these things. Whether you believe in him or not, you see the evidence of his hands all around this world, just like you see the hands of the enemy. You don't have to see them. They definitely there. And the evidence of it is people who you once had that you knew that's here, that used to be here and gone. So this ain't no game. This ain't no joke. This stuff is real. And they got y'all scared to tell the truth, scared to speak out because you want their gifts and rewards. You want to be rewarded by the LGBTQ. You want their gifts. Well, their gifts come with prices. Their gifts come with prices. And that's to have total control over your mouth, in your brain, in your body, in your eternal soul. That you just forfeited and gave up to the LGBTQ, and y'all all will be in the lake of fire together, united as one. Right. I ain't selling out God for none of these demons and witches and warlocks, and get up out of here. I don't need nothing from them. God reward me. God provide for me. God take care of me. I ain't hurting for nothing. A slow nickel beat a fast dime. I'd rather get mine slow because God is teaching me how to appreciate it, how to value it. And I get to live to enjoy it. So while y'all want it fast, for whatever your agenda may be, for girls or pride or showing out, you won't get to live to enjoy it. You got to give that up. The Bible say the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. Trying to tell you. This is terrible. And this is what you're seeing going on right now. Oh, I'm black, so I'm supposed to be a Democrat. Right, you black, so you supposed to be a Democrat. That was started by the Ku Klux Klan. That's the origin of the Democratic Party. It was started by the Ku Klux Klan, the KKK. But you supposed to be a Democrat. You don't know the first and only civil war that the United States fought against themselves was the North against the South. The Democratic South were fighting against the Republican North. The Democratic South didn't want to end slavery, but the Republican North wanted to abolish it under the Christian abolitionist movement that was supporting it, that had whites fighting against whites for the liberation of the blacks. See, they don't talk about that. Christianity always been on the forefront. Not Muslims, not atheists, not Israelites. Christianity always been on the forefront. It was Christianity that liberated the slaves. It was Christianity that started the first hospitals. It was Christianity that started the first orphanages. It was Christianity. Not these barbaric people trying to use the things of God that's holy and then try to corrupt it to make you look at God differently. No. We're telling you historical facts and truths that you can look up for yourself. This why United States is the greatest nation in the world, because it's a Christian society. God did this on purpose, and he's showing how Christianity, if you actually do it right, how nothing can stand before it. Upon this rock I shall build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. It's no coincidence that the greatest nation in the world is a Christian nation. God will never come in second place to Satan when dealing with his creation. Never. Christianity is the biggest religion in the world. It is. God will never play second place to Satan. Ever. Even though Satan planted his seeds of demons and occupants of people who side with him to try to cause corruption and divisions within, like he always did. But it still don't take away from United States as a Christian society. From this nation, the gospel is being spread all over the world, by which hundreds of millions are being saved every year by the preaching and teaching of the gospel. And the United States is the bullhorn for the gospel by which God uses to reach all the four corners of the world. That's a fact. Nobody could get around that. Other nations and places, they can't even read Bibles. They can't even openly confess Jesus Christ. Why do you think that's so? If Jesus was a lie and he wasn't the truth, why do you think that's so? Because the enemy knows the power of Christ and how it reaches and saves and transforms, and actually a nation that's under it will be successful and blessed. But what the enemy gonna do? He gonna try to open the floodgates, try to find a loophole around it, to try to sabotage from within, what you see them doing right now with the immigrations, allowing these illegal aliens to come in, and these Americans actually exposing who they work for, to bring in the flood to cause anarchy on American soil. Get up out of here. And that's why they hating Donald Trump, because of the Christian values and principle he's passing, by which it makes the nation a better place. And these homosexuals hate God. Why? Because they murderers and they killers. It was a homosexual who assassinated Charlie Kirk. It was a homosexual who tried to assassinate Donald Trump twice. One got killed, one is incarcerated. They hate anything of God. Why? Because it exposes them and reveal who they really belong to. And they trying to normalize what should be shamed. People terrible, man. With that being said, y'all better wake up. Y'all better open y'all eyes, because it's going down. Look at this map of the United States. I mean, not the United States. Look at this map of the world. You see all that red territory? That's the Islamic regime that the Bible talks about in the last days, that's going to start a movement to try to take over the world. And there's only two countries that stand in their way. The United States and Israel.